And happy Friday, everybody. Good morning and welcome to another live edition coming to you from the WWDB TV studios in the heart of a chilling, cooling off Las Vegas. That's right. Yesterday we had 90 degrees. Today our bipolar weather kicks in. We're not even going to touch 70 degrees today, and we have rain. So if anybody's walking around sick, congested, now you all know why. Thank everybody for joining us. This is Conversation Part 2 regarding Kiwanis International and why we need to get to international convention. And as you can see, joining me on this version of Hollywood Squares, to the square directly below me, of course, is the ever-lovable Doc Val. Good morning, Val.
Aloha. I am so excited to actually be on the show today. I wasn't sure I was going to make our own show, Aaron. It's been that kind of week.
I trust me when I tell you I get it when it's that kind of week. And, of course, joining us on the squares to my left. Look at that. I did it right this time. Ben Hendricks joins us for part 2 from Kiwanis International. Of course, the ever-loving great friend of California, Nevada, OI District, everybody else around that knows him. Mr. Gary Graham, gentlemen, welcome back to Kiwanis Connects.
Hey. Thank you.
We are really I just realized we're really connected all over the map. We got Vegas, we got Cali, we got New Orleans down there, and Indianapolis. We're all over the map today.
We're everywhere.
It's amazing,
right?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on a weather show.
You know, the weather out here is sunny and a little bit cool. So I'm wearing my Kiwanis Rose Float scarf. I see that Gary is actually in a jacket. What's up with that?
I thought I needed to look important.
Oh my goodness, you are always important.
Exactly. You can wear just a T-shirt, and I don't think anybody would change that opinion. And of course,
So
Ben,
true, so true.
looking at Ben's position, I don't think he's left the office since he was with us 2 weeks ago, because that was the same spot he was in with us 2 weeks ago. You at least got deodorant or something in the drawer?
I'm sorry, what's that?
I said, do you have at least deodorant or something in the drawer?
Deodorant and snacks. Yeah, I keep on for each. Yeah.
All right, let me
What's
remind
your favorite
everybody.
snack?
Yeah, really. What's the favorite snack? That's a great question. What is your favorite snack?
Don't say bananas.
Definitely not bananas. I'm a salty snack guy, so chips, tortilla chips, and salsa. I'm good with that. You don't get this physique being picky though. Like I don't turn down a lot of snacks.
It takes a lot of work.
Body by snacks.
There you go. Body by
Exactly.
snack.
Just want to remind everybody, our phone number is 702-992-3207. Give us a call because we're going to touch on a couple of the other amendments that is going to be very important to chat about at convention. Again, we know it's July 4th week and everybody's up in arms, but guess what? It's important to still be there. What better place to vacation than with other Kiwanians around the world, for crying out loud? 702-992-3207. If you're watching us on Facebook, thank you. If you got us on YouTube, that's great as well. And of course, in a couple of days, check us out on the WWDB TV network on Roku and catch the plethora, depending if you're a Shakespearean or not, of quantity of shows. And today, during our commercial breaks, we're going to highlight a brand new debut of the stroke awareness commercial featuring John Brummer, featuring Rocky Bersati, and Derek Rubrick. They're all going to be on the commercial. Stroke awareness, very important. With that, Val, I know you're on your way or almost at the Kiwanis Special Games, which we featured last week. So why don't you take it away? Let's get rolling.
All right. So actually, it's been a chock-full week of all different Kiwanis things going on. And so the special game starts in about half an hour, but what's been on my mind a lot lately is our trustees are in the process of realigning themselves. And I am on this committee to be able to come up with new language and new policies because we're going from 16 trustees down to 13 trustees. And so, Gary, I know there is a proposition out there or an amendment. I'm probably not even using the right language, but isn't International also doing the same thing?
That's correct. We are trying to get some more efficiencies and some cost savings as part of the effort that we made in a promise last year to try and get the dues increase passed, that we were going to try and reduce expenses. By reducing the number of trustees, we are getting one, less travel costs that are involved. And it also reflects a study that was done by a special committee to the board to analyze everything about the efficiencies, because we hadn't made any changes in our bylaws for about 30 years, essentially. And so this was an effort to try and modernize our operations and to be realistic about what we face today. I mean, when we first created this board, we were well over 150, 300,000 members, and now we're pushing 160, 170. So we need to be a little bit more realistic about our representation, our costs, and this is one of the efforts that we have made to be a little bit more realistic about the number of members. And again, we can always make it. If we can start growing again like we need to, then we can make an adjustment again. That's the beauty of our bylaws and our delegates. We can make any changes as they appear. So if there is some concern, the delegates will be the ones that say that they have the final say whether we reduce or not.
Are you getting any pushback at all?
We've had some questions. I know Sue Peterson had a program on the amendments, and there were a couple of people who were a little concerned that we were not looking after North America as well as we should, but we assuaged those concerns. The one thing we got to keep in mind is we have bigger growth in the Asia Pacific area right now, and we really need to be able to at least give them an equal say in what is going on in Kiwanis International.
Can I want to ask a question, because fortunately we're graced with the success of the show with new Kiwanians who have just joined the organization or maybe looking, and maybe they don't understand what the role of a international trustee is. Can we talk about, let's backpedal. Can we talk about that first? And then when you lay that out, what the impact could be by, on Kiwanis or on districts by this reduction. So two-part explanation, if you don't mind.
Okay. I guess first and foremost, the trustee board is set to establish policies and procedures that operates the worldwide organization. So we come together, evaluate everything. We also work with education. We counsel districts. So we go out and just to answer questions. We're there to represent the members and to bring concerns and to address any changes that are needed as society evolves, to make sure that Kiwanis is staying up to date, current with what is going on in the world, and that we are addressing everything properly.
Okay, so now there's 16. So that tells me, obviously, it's a structure that we'll say, Gary, you're required to support and advise X districts, right?
Correct.
So if it is passed and 3 trustees are no longer, that means those who are still in this role, wouldn't their roles be expanded and be more involved than they would be right now?
To an extent, yes. Part of what the evaluation has brought about is trying to assign trustees closer. We don't get our own districts, but we'll try to minimize travel. So yes, each trustee may pick up another district. Probably not what you're going to see is the officers addressing that, because they're there now, and they may actually pick up an extra district as this goes on.
Okay, so again, now we're just talking reduction is more the logistical concern, which now means that a trustee, and I'm only saying this, Gary, because you're here with us, so I'm going to use this as an example, so to speak, because you're here. So let's presume for a moment that the reduction in this amendment passes. Now, Calneva is one of the districts that you are assigned to, right? That's why we love you out here and we see you a lot. You actually, for me, it's more about seeing your wife than you, Gary, but that's okay. I love your wife. I love you both out there. But anyway, I shouldn't say that.
He's my +1 for sure.
Right. No, I shouldn't say that because Gary's going to help me in Virginia Beach. So I take all that back, sir. But so now your availability to the Calneva district could possibly be lessened because you may be given more territory.
No, that's it will not impact what we're currently doing. It'll just add, and there should be no problems because some of the districts that we counsel really don't take a lot of time or effort. For example, I'm able to spend a lot of time with Calneva this year because Ecuador is another one of my districts, but they do not have me coming at all. They don't. They have not been involved too much. Obviously, they have some issues going on in country, so I am not having to spend a lot of time with Ecuador.
Gotcha.
So I have the capital district that I'm able to spend a lot of time with, Calneva, and quite frankly, I still stay in touch with the districts I had in previous years. I always reach out to the Southwest District and KT, and Alabama. I stay in touch with all my previous districts because I've made so many great friends there.
Sure.
And still want to keep up with what they're doing.
So since you're still involved in the Capital District, that means I still have a chance of seeing you still. That's great. Val, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that, I'm glad you explained the difference about international trustees and what happens in the districts, because a lot of people see international trustees as governors on steroids. And so you just have your governorship is just much bigger. And that's the same thing that we're seeing out here in Calneva, is that people see our trustees as lieutenant governors on steroids, and so they're like, we don't need, to make it smaller and blah, 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 blah. But thank you for the explanation, because it makes sense. The governing takes work. And when you're actually focused in on helping the governance and legislation, it's so powerful. But I know we're spending a lot of time on the trustees, but isn't there or we're going backwards in kind of like the amendments. So is there like amendment number 3 or amendment number 2 that's out there?
Well, number 2 is changing the tiers from tier A, B, and C to tier 1 and 2. So that goes back, and we're in fact, quite frankly, we're the only organization that has tiered dues. Lions, Rotary, Optimist, none of them have tiered dues. We put that into place around 2003, thinking it might have a benefit of bringing in some districts, especially in Asia Pacific or Africa, that have a lower cost of living, in that they cannot afford the dues that North America pays, or what we call tier C countries. But it has not really seen anything as far as increasing membership. And so we're trying to get back to being a little bit more efficient and try and cut down some of our costs by reducing the number of tiers.
Ben, does that really impact us overall?
Was that? Did you ask
I
me?
I was just wondering from the staff side, how does that impact you all?
Yeah, so from the staff side, it won't really have a major impact, right? I mean, we from the marketing and comms and the membership standpoint, I mean, everything is done for all members anyway. We don't kind of segment or target it out via tiers, But Gary kind of mentioned it, and I can add a little bit more information there. When we go back and we look, I mean, this was done more than 2 decades ago with the thought that we were going to be able to grow membership in those tier B's and tier C countries. And it's like 80% of those countries that fall in those 2 tiers have lost substantial membership numbers. Have had major decreases in the last 20 years. So, the tiered structure as designed wasn't, Gary mentioned it. It's not working the way that we hoped it would work. It hasn't met its intended purpose, right? So to be able to bring this down to tier 1, tier 2, we can still have this equitable conversation while also just moving the needle more towards, efficiency's sake.
And if memory serves, Ben, when you were with us a couple of weeks ago, you had a great slide presentation. And as Gary mentioned, our structure in relation to the other service organizations really put us at the bottom end of cost of membership of all the service. And I'm saying this hoping that John, I'm stalling long enough, hoping that John may still have that slide deck and we can bring that up. This is called vamping, ladies and gentlemen, in the industry, by the way. That showed exactly that. Now, again, for newer Kiwanians, can you explain the value of the tier system and what it is now to what the suggestion is to go to only 2 tiers? I want to make sure everybody's clear on that.
Well, ideally, it would be to do like other service organizations do and just have one, because then you don't have to keep up with all of the rates and all of the different who goes into what tier, all of the analysis that goes into determining what tier a country belongs into or what district it belongs into. So there are some cost savings by going from 3 to 2.
Gary, I'm sorry, Gary, I don't mean to cut off an international trustee. My God, please don't strike me down. But
It's important.
but also, too, I got to acknowledge, Val, you are at the Kiwanis Special Games, and I know you have to step away for a little bit. And so I think what I'd like to do is take a quick break so we can make that transition. You can go take care of business. Hopefully you'll be able to join us at some point.
Absolutely.
And then if Your Honor, Gary Graham will be so kind, we'll continue that conversation with the tiers on the other side of the break. Good enough?
Sounds awesome.
All right, everybody.
Aloha.
Kiwanis Connects. Don't go anywhere. More information about the tier system right after this. Thanks to the efforts of the Cal Neva District of Kiwanis, there's been a Kiwanis presence in the Rose Bowl Parade for more than half of the New Year's Day Parade since 1921. In the past, our efforts were funded through club sponsorships, outside sponsorships, by the generous donations from Kiwanis members or club foundations sponsoring riders on the Kiwanis float itself. The District Rose Float Committee handles fundraising, and the Kiwanis Rose Float Club secures and organizes the volunteers. When Kiwanis International wanted to sponsor a large portion of our float, momentum from our clubs was lost due to any fundraising. The time has come to have our clubs increase their involvement in the fundraising efforts. But the Rose Float Kiwanis Club needs the help from all Kiwanis clubs, its members, and businesses to answer the call for support. Visit our Kiwanis Rose Float page on Facebook. Help make sure that Kiwanis International will let the world continue to smell the roses for a long time. Some estimates say that someone in the United States has a stroke every 40 seconds. Rocky, please share with us your experience.
Aaron, as we all think we are invincible, after playing baseball for 12 years and never missing a game, I had a stroke while I was umpiring. It put a new perspective on life for me. No more golf, bowling, dancing, or most importantly, playing catch with my grandchildren. Please listen to your own body warnings. Pay attention and watch for your family and your friends. Watch for those warning signs. You are not invincible.
Derek, what are some of the symptoms and signs we should be aware of?
The simple rules to remember: the be fast rule. Balance. Beware of loss of balance. Eyes. Check for vision loss. Face. Check if one arm is weak or numb. Speech. Listen for slurred speech. Time. Call 911 immediately if there's treatment. There's treatment available if it's within 3 hours.
John, what are some of the resources that folks have available for them?
There are several stroke support groups available to stroke survivors and their caregivers. Many of the stroke support groups you can attend can be accessed on your computer via Zoom. The stroke groups we support are located at the bottom of the screen.
This message was proudly brought to you by the following: the Kiwanis Club of Laguna Elk Grove, the Kiwanis Club of Oakland, and the Kiwanis Club of Palo Alto. All right, welcome back to Kiwanis Connects. We are live from Las Vegas, from Indianapolis, from New Orleans. Are you in New Orleans, Gary?
No, I'm actually in Baton Rouge, just up the road.
Sorry, Baton Rouge, yes. Louisiana. Val had to step aside as she is at Kiwanis Special Games, and she's on the stage. I think she's actually like kicking it off and telling the games to get started, so she'll hopefully join us when she's done. In the meantime, we left off before break with Gary kind of explaining and helping us understand the value and what the tier system was meant to be. Ben, unfortunately, we do not have the slideshow currently available, so everybody else will just have to go back to the show 2 weeks ago, part one, and see that great slideshow. slide of information. But go ahead, Gary, please continue with the explanation of the tier system and what ultimately we're looking to do.
Okay. Well, again, we're trying to get some cost savings and some efficiencies. And quite frankly, out of our 160, 70,000 members that we have in Kiwanis International, a very small percentage are tier B. And so they're going to get a benefit by this change because they will all be combined with what is tier C now, but it'll be tier 1 and tier 2. So we will see some savings in that we don't have to keep up with those few thousand, and I think it's about 4,000 or 5,000 members that are in tier B out of the whole world, and just try to make things a little bit more efficient.
Okay. Ben, you want to add to that?
No, I mean, Gary's spot on. To your point earlier about the cost, Kiwanis current dues is one of the lowest in the world amongst all of our peers. Tier B, Tier C are the lowest in the world. And even with this, even with the increase, Tier C still by far the biggest value in the world for service. And Tier B, I think, would be tied with one of the other service organizations. So still a great value. And obviously, we hope that you get value from your membership, no matter what tier you're in.
And you just used the keyword 3 times there, which we talked on and touched on last time, especially when Dr. Hope joined us at the tail end. She used the same word, and that's value. I mean, anything we do when it comes to currency, we all want value for something. I don't care if you're paying in dollars or you're doing a trade or whatever it is. That value is so important. We all realize, though, if something's not important, has no value to us, then we're not shelling out or doing anything to respond to that. So the value of what we're getting and the exposure between the Rose Float and all that we do around the world, and you go into every town and on their road sign you see the Kiwanis, the K for the local Kiwanis club, and there's has to be value. And I was in a very difficult industry at one point called timeshare. Don't hate me for it, but I worked in there. However, I always said, if I don't build value, you're not going to buy it if I give it to you for free. They're not going to take it. And that is so true. But everybody has to have a value point. And I think for what the organization does for individuals such as us as Kiwanians, more importantly, though, for what it does for our children and everybody in the community with which we serve, there's an S load of value, but you can't put a price tag on that value because of how important it is.
That's correct. I mean, when you see the smile on a child's face, and I remember when Jamie and I were in the Philippines a year and a half ago, working with kids that have absolutely nothing, but to see their face light up when you give them just even the simplest things, some flip-flops, I call them flip-flops, but they're barefooted. So
sure.
Getting flip-flops, getting school supplies, they're just so thankful for it. I can remember we were, and I don't know if I should talk about it, but we would actually, one project, we brought the kids down from the mountains and were combing lice out of their hair. But part of that was giving them snacks and things, and one of them coming up and wanting to give something to their little brother. So
right.
They care, they want to give, and have so little, but they want to share. And that's the value of Kiwanis, is to be able to see that we are, as we say, improving the world one child and one community at a time. And there's something to be said for that in today's, I guess, antagonism. That's antagony as a Greek play or something. I
Antagonistic.
But that's the positive stuff that does not get promoted, and we need to be promoting that even more so because it's needed more than ever.
Can we, again, I'm kind of rolling backwards to the newer Kiwanians who may be joining us from all around the world. Ben, or I'll throw this to Ben just because I want to give him some face time. He's good looking too with that little beard on his face. The dues itself, let's just use $100 as a nice round number of dues for a Kiwanian. Now, how much of the dues or percentage-wise goes to KI versus staying in the club for its budget? So can we give a breakdown as to how much of that does support KI from a individual standpoint?
Yeah, so every club is very different. I mean, my club dues are pretty small. Now I don't have meals at my club dues. Every club has its own DNA and structure, right? So it's so it gets incredibly complex because Gary, I don't know how your club does. My club doesn't even itemize my dues. So I pay my club. I don't know what goes to the club, what goes to the district, and what goes to KI. Now, I'm obviously employed by KI, so I kind of keep up with it. But a lot of members, most members don't understand that there's segregation in that money, Aaron. I mean, you have club dues, and then you have district dues, and then you have your Kiwanis International dues, right? So for Kiwanis International, the money that comes back to international from your dues really goes to support everything that a normal corporate headquarters would need to support in order to push down information and education to the districts and to the clubs. So really it is this like hierarchy up and down, right? So your dues at the dues you pay to your club, like that can go to a variety of different things. It can go to meals, it can go to projects, it can go to service, it can go to just upkeep of your club. And then your district has dues as well. So it is actually segregated. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. So then can you ballpark a percentage perhaps of dues amounts that go to each of those three parts roughly out of everybody? Is there a ballpark? Again, I just kind of want to pinpoint, like you mentioned, you don't get an itemized invoice of how your dues is separated. So I want to make sure that newer members understand how the dues that they pay once a year is appropriated. So is there a percentage that clubs follow to say, okay, X amount, regardless of what they charge, meals or otherwise, X amount goes here to KI, X amount goes to the district, and then whatever's left over stays in your club. Can we give some sort of idea that way?
Nope.
No, there's no way. I mean, and I have worked with so many clubs. I've built so many clubs, and most of the newer clubs are charging $15, $20 a month, and you buy your own meals if they even have a meal. My club is $25. At one time, we were $60 a month, and we got a meal with it. During COVID, we changed our whole process, and now we're $25 a month. And you buy your own meal if that's what you want to do. I've been to clubs where they charge $700, $800 a year, but we know 52 of it goes to KI.
That's what I want to know right there, Gary. You just hit it on the head. That's what I want to know. $52 of every dues payment, whatever it is, monthly or annually, goes to KI. That's the number I want. That's what I want people to hear.
That is current, and that's where we're looking to go to 77.
Okay.
In Tier A, yes. In Tier A, 77.
In Tier A to go to 77. And quite frankly, that again is a small percentage, but I mean, it's going to impact some people. I mean, these are tough times with inflation, and that's the bottom line. It's impacted Kiwanis as well. If it hadn't been for COVID, we'd probably be in a better position because last time we asked for a dues increase was in 2015. And it was a $10 increase at that time. So it's been almost 10 years, and we've had one dues increase in the last 2 decades. Is that correct, Ben? I think
that is correct. One dues increase since 2003.
Right. And so if you look at anything out there, about the only thing that's the same price in 2024 that was in 2003 is probably Costco's hot dog. But outside of that, everything is cost a whole lot more, whether it's gas or whether it's food, whatever, utilities, everybody is paying more. And we're, at Kiwanis International, we have the same issues that everybody has in their home around their kitchen table. And we have to address that, or we will have to cut, and that's going to impact the education, that's going to impact the support. And the biggest thing that we have is with our service leadership programs with Key Club and CKI and Builders Clubs and K Kids. All of those are needed to have our future, and we got to invest in our future.
So, when I was in that unmentionable industry back in the day, we always tried to break everything down to the simplest and smallest dollar figure for people to comprehend what the smallest amount is. So we're talking about a $20 increase roughly. And again, I'm just rounding it off, right?
25.
25. All right.
Yeah.
So we're talking average $2 a month
Correct.
that someone has to figure out a way to maybe get a smaller size Starbucks, right? We're
Correct.
talking about $2 a day where, you know, there could be some adjustment in their daily routine. If you want something bad enough, people will find a way to do it. And I say this because I'm a former, you guys, we call it now SLP. For me, it was sponsored youth. So I'm a founding member of my Key Club dating back to 1980. Key Club, Circle K, and now through the ranks. I know significantly the importance of the SLP program. I would dare say that it is a huge part of who I've become, having had that experience. So for me personally, $2 a day more, a month, doesn't really sound like a whole lot if, again, the value's there. And I'm trying to minimize it for everybody to understand dollars for dollars what we're talking about on a monthly basis, whether you pay it all out once a year or whether you're in a club that bills monthly. And I'm saying this because obviously I don't want to see KI go away. I don't want to see programs cut. I don't want to see any of that happen. Yeah, everybody took a bump in COVID time, but yet we're all facing increases now just to go buy milk and gas and everything else. I get it. And never am I proposing that anybody should take food off their table to do something else. But instead of getting the grande latte for $20, get the small one for $5, and now you got $15 you can play. And I don't know the prices. That tells you I don't drink there. But reduce the sizes on some of the stuff. Instead of getting a huge meal, get a small, whatever it is. There are ways people can find that $2 if they really want to and keep KI afloat. And I'm going to get off my soapbox right now.
Yes, and we have our challenges, and I can tell you that KI has made significant cuts. Ben can probably back me up on statistics better, but I know that we are down to about 96 or 97 staff members, down from about 120 some at one time. So we're down about 13-14% in the number of employees. The employees there, we were just up there last week for a board meeting, and somebody leaves, somebody picks up the extra slack. They don't hire another person back. I know Ben can attest to that because he's had to do it. And Lindsay, who's doing a lot of the CLE training, Lieutenant Governor training, and the Amplify program, she had 3 people. One left and one's on maternity leave, and she's having to do it all herself. So
wow.
They are picking up the slack. They are really stepping up to serve Kiwanis and the Kiwanis members.
I'm not proposing or jumping the shark by saying this, but every day I open up my MSN feed on my phone to read what's going on in the world, because I can only do that for a couple of minutes a day. I don't need any more than just that to kind of keep my pulse on everything. But a day doesn't go by where in the news you hear of a major company filing for bankruptcy, closing stores or restaurants, or for that matter, ultimately going out of business because they just don't have enough financial support. I'm not saying KI is ever going to be in that position, nor am I suggesting that we are down that road, but we have to still protect our future to make certain that we don't end up having to think about alternatives and the worst case scenarios to protect KI. That is a reality in our life nowadays of how businesses are struggling. Most of them have to increase prices to just break even at times, let alone put a couple extra shekels in their pocket. And with all due respect to everybody listening that may be proposing this, why should KI be any different than any other corporate business? We need to keep the doors open. We need to keep these things going for SLP, because how many SLP members do we have across the world in comparison to our Kiwanians? And I've been preaching it for 20 years. Those SLP members, we want them to become Kiwanians. And if we don't have Kiwanis for them to become Kiwanians, then what do we do with all these members? We need to keep the sponsored youth. I'm sorry, I'm showing my age by saying it that way. But we need to keep the sponsored youth going and they're being kept alive by the support of KI and its local clubs. I hope people realize this is all a cycle. This is dominoes, folks. This is what we're seeing here. This is all a domino effect. And we take one domino out of there, i.e., increasing membership by a couple of dollars a month, that domino out of there isn't going to guarantee that the rest of the dominoes are going to fall the way they're supposed to. And I think that's a big danger that we need to realize. We can talk numbers and tiers and everything else that we want to and why we need it, but let's bring it down to the smallest picture. I hope for people to realize the impact of what can happen if this proposal, this amendment, whatever the official word is for dues, isn't seriously thought about and considered to pass and keep us going for however. When this is passed, because I can't imagine it wouldn't be. How much longer would this sustain KI to the point before anybody has a discussion again about increasing dues? Any projections on that?
Again, that depends. Everything depends. I can tell you right now, a small statistic, I think it was brought up, that if we had the same membership that we had 12, 13 years ago, we wouldn't have to have a dues increase. We would have enough members paying the lower amount to make up the difference. So I guess the quick answer that every Kiwanian can do to help reduce the number of increases in the future is bring in more members. And we have a young generation out there who needs us, the Gen Zs and the millennials. They want to serve. They don't want to do necessarily what we boomers do, but we have a potential there of growing Kiwanis back to the major force it was for children. But we have to ask. We have to bring in these members, and that will mitigate any future increases.
Yeah, that's a great point. And listen, we know clubs reduce in size for, and I'll just say for natural causes. I'll just leave it at that, and everybody else can fill in the blank so I can keep it nice. And we can't do anything about that. Although we can, as you just said, Gary, those clubs that are more experienced than average age, those are the clubs that are in dire need of protection by bringing in some of the younger members of the community. I want to preface this by saying, and this is just my opinion, I'm not speaking for anybody. I think people join Kiwanis for the wrong reasons, in that they put business and networking first to try to get their business acknowledged and earn business, then service. Now, there are other organizations out there, and I don't want to mention any specific because I don't want to talk bad about our competition, where that may be the case. But folks, you have to realize that KI is about the service first, because the natural relationships that you build with your members and fellow Kiwanians, not just your club and locally, but around the world, that other stuff comes naturally because you built relationships. And I'm sorry, I only work with people that I have relationships with that I know, like, and trust. And for me, I will refer Kiwanian first and foremost if somebody needs something, because that's the way we're supposed to do it. But that's secondary, right? Service has to come first. Business and personal interests have to come behind that. And I think that's where I've been battling that for 20 years, and members coming to clubs and why they're joining, and 3 months later they leave. Oh, I didn't get any business. Then you join for the wrong reason. Let's make sure we join KI and bring people in for the right reasons.
Correct.
Yeah.
We need that younger generation to step up, because quite frankly, there are some people, as you noted, that are leaving clubs involuntarily.
Yeah.
But they have the heart of service in Kiwanis, and this is the time to bring in the younger generation and mentor.
Thank you, Patrick.
To them and make our future brighter by having more energy and more people stepping up to help the kids.
I'm going to bring this full circle around to you with something we talked about last time. First of all, earlier this year on a Saturday, we had the Key Club South conference at one of the schools down in Green Valley, Henderson. And I was asked to be one of the keynote opening speakers and do seminars. And I stood on the second floor balcony of the open atrium of this high school. I have goosebumps right now just thinking about it. When I looked over and I saw nothing but a sea of our Key Clubbers, I believe there was like 3,000 key clubbers, and I felt like a Vita on the balcony, welcoming all these people. I was doing a wrestling promo trying to get it, and I was so excited. And I encourage any Kiwanian on any level, you got to go to a Key Club or Circle K event. So why am I bringing this back around? Because we talked about branding. We talked about promotion. We talked months ago on this show about ideas for branding. This show has offered the opportunity for commercials to be produced for your club, for an event. I don't care if it's a club or if you're a Kiwanian within a club that has a business that wants a commercial, okay? These are the tools that we need to use to get out there to promote Kiwanis. I'm tired of saying asking, do you know what Kiwanis is? And you know what their answer is? Oh, that's an airline company in Australia, isn't it? I'm tired of that because people don't know. And so, yes, I am going to dovetail on what we talked about branding and taking advantage of creating commercials and exposure for this organization. If for nothing else, educational purposes. This platform has taught so many people so many things that this is a key cog of getting the interest out there, because now a current member, make it easier for them because we know people don't like seeing each other in person sometimes, just send a link to the show. And they could see people like you on this show, the trustee and someone from the home office talking about the importance of this organization. And to me, that's more important. And having people see how structured and what we are and what we do is a very important cog to bringing new people into Kiwanis International. That's my third soapbox, and I'm limited at 3, and I'm done. Yeah, John was about to turn my mic off. I apologize, guys. So you can respond accordingly, or I can go to a commercial, whatever you want.
I do want to jump in on something
Please.
Gary kind of alluded to, right? Because the majority of our members, and Aaron, you said it, the majority of our members, when you look at family membership, are not Kiwanians. They're Key Club members. They're in Circle K, Builders, K-Kids, right? I mean, I work as much with our youth as I do our adult board and our adult members. And I can say with so much passion, these students want a strong Kiwanis experience for when they're ready for it. Now, that does not always mean that they're going to be ready for it when they're 19 or 23 or even 35. Life gets in the way, your job gets in the way, your family, your kids, your priorities, whatever. But they want a Kiwanis experience that you and Gary and I experience now and have experienced for decades. They want that when they're ready. This dues conversation and the conversation that we're having about reduction of the board and tiers, these things that kind of streamline the organization, is with that future in mind. So that decades from now, my kids who are 10 and 7 are going to be able to say, yes, my dad was a Kiwanian and I'm ready to do that. And it's going to be there and ready, and they can then pay it forward to students who are coming up. So that's what all this is about at the end of the day. Gary mentioned his experience from an international level. It happens globally and it happens at home. It happens in your community. So, it's just, it's one cog in this machine that we're trying to make sure is there for ever and ever and ever.
That Key Club conference that I mentioned a few minutes ago, as I was talking with some of the Key Clubbers, advisors, the one thing that broke my heart, they had no idea what Kiwanis was. They had no idea what a Kiwanian is. They've never seen a Kiwanian come to their meetings. They don't know who is supporting and structured this organization for them to be part of, to learn these skills. And that is very heartbreaking that again, I know, especially and I'll speak for our division, we have 8 clubs here, and it seems like we have 1 million Key Clubs in this town. And I know we get stretched thin in terms of one club having to sponsor multiple Key Clubs. And it is difficult to get everybody to meetings. I'm giving everything that is a benefit of the doubt. But when you have members of an organization that don't know who is supporting them and it has allowed them to have these opportunities of leadership and give back to the community, and then the adults, the parents of those kids have no idea. The advisors on the high school level have no idea who Kiwanis is or what is about and who their Kiwanis liaison is. That is a shame and a travesty that is happening. If we could stay in touch with these people and figure out a way to market them to them somehow, just by asking, one of you mentioned it, I think Gary said, hey, you want to know what Kiwanis is? come with me to my group. I'll buy lunch for you. Just come check it out and show what we do besides being here with your kids. That's what we have to do. We have to take advantage of this stuff. I waited 5 years from the time I graduated college, knowing that I was going to get into Kiwanis someday. I got married. I got into it 5 years afterwards. My wife then eventually joined. And when women first joined Kiwanis in 85 or 86,
87.
my wife was the first female Kiwanian in the club that we belonged to together back in New Jersey. Okay. We got that experience. And the fact that people don't know who we are, who are even within the organization.
Yeah.
What do you say to that after a while?
Yeah. And it's sad because we do need to do a better job of reaching out to our key clubbers and our Circle Kers and letting them know that we're there for them. I can tell you, going out and building clubs, and I think I'm building my 5th or 6th next week this year. One of the first questions we ask is, you know what Kiwanis is? And they go, no. Well, have you heard of Key Club? Yes, I have heard of Key Club. And that's our in. You always put the kids out there, and these people will join because they want to help the kids just as much as we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I go off on a soapbox every once in a while in the show because it's not about me. It's about our guests. It's about Val. And sometimes when the passion on something comes up, I apologize to the viewers that it seems like I hijack things when I get on my soapbox. But like all three of us, and when Val's with us, the four of us, and any invested Kiwanian, and I believe this when I go make presentations, I don't take notes with me because I believe it's easier to talk about something when you feel it in the heart and you have the passion for it. You don't need notes to tell somebody how much you love something or why other people should do it. And so every once in a while, that passion comes through that I don't want to see things negatively impact Kiwanis. I don't want to see things impact everything else that we do. And in a way, and I'm going to put this word in quotes, there is an easy fix to this. And yes, I know it takes time, Gary, to build clubs. And Ben, I build clubs out here. It's not easy to do that. It's time, it's patience, it's manpower, it's follow-up, which is also something I think we fail a lot in is follow-up in CAD. That's a whole nother topic for another show. But these are easy fixes. We find out how many Circle Kers are graduating as seniors this year. And they may not, like you guys said, they may not be ready for it immediately, but we're planting seeds for those Circle K members, right?
Correct.
And when those members are ready, we have to be ready as an organization locally and a club level to welcome them in. Could you imagine if every Circle K within the next couple of years that's graduating now finds a home in a Kiwanis club around the world? Do you think we're going to be talking about a dues increase in a couple of years? Probably not, in my opinion. So
you're right. If there's a clean path from Circle K or Key Club into a Kiwanis club, you solve a lot of the problems. You really
I'm not running for political office saying all this stuff, folks. That's what I say. I know it sounds like an easy fix, but it takes time to do that. Listen, I've taken almost 19 years to be an overnight sensation in this industry. You know what I'm saying? So I know it takes time, blood, sweat, and tears. So anyway, John, do we want to take a quick break or should I transition into, your favorite segment? All right. Then I'll leave some time at the end for the gentleman to wrap up. Yeah. Skip the commercial. We only have about just under 10 minutes. Yeah. Not sure Val's going to be able to join us, so we will bypass Val on the road only because we know she's on the road right now. Right? She's already there. She's landed somewhere. So hopefully Andy, my number one fan for Bad Dad Jokes. By the way, I joined a Bad Dad Joke group on Facebook, and I'm starting to share those. So, folks, it's not just me with these things. I shared with John a TikTok video link of a lady in, I'm going to say over the pond because she does have a British accent. She made a TikTok video of herself sharing about a half a dozen bad dad jokes, by the way, a couple of which I've already used here. And it was hilarious watching her crack up at her own jokes. Anyway, if nothing else, we will show that next week. So if nothing else, at least these bad dad jokes gives everybody a reason to smile and can revisit them at any day. All right. So and shake their heads in disbelief that Aaron is doing this to everybody. All right, here you go. Number one, gentlemen, can you tell me why the birds attacked the dog?
I cannot.
Because he was a purebred. Where's Val when I need her? I need Val. Where is she?
But
why couldn't the bicycle? Maybe she's smart not being on. I don't know. Why couldn't the bicycle stand up alone? Because it was too tired. The bicycle. All right, now that'll be a unicycle, by the way, for everybody who wants to know. Hey, what did you know? My computer is a singer. It's Adele. Computer. Okay, never mind. I didn't say they were good jokes, gentlemen. You should know that by now. So, I have a really funny joke about trickle-down economics, but there's no use in sharing it with everybody because 99% will never get it. I'll tell you what. Let's get a pot together for KI for me to stop telling these jokes, and we won't have to refer to any more dues increases. Hey, can you guys tell me what the only rock group is that doesn't sing or play musical instruments?
Yes.
Mount Rushmore. Rock group. Okay.
Milli Vanilli.
Wait a minute. That shouldn't be getting more laughs than me.
That's because I'm a good dad.
I've got one.
We brought up banana at the beginning of the show. Did you want to share that bad joke that you just got? Poppy, this is John. He made this up himself, by the way. Go ahead.
What do you call a couch or a sofa that's shaped like a banana? A fruiton. Is this thing on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, where do baby cats swim? In the kiddie pool. And thankfully, I have my last one. Oh, it's really not a joke. It's more of an exclamation. Finally, spring is here. I'm so excited. I wet my plants.
You need a new book.
Fortunately, these are almost done. I have 3 new books that I purchased from Amazon that I will be breaking out soon. And so sorry to ruin everybody's day with that.
You have to find some good mom jokes.
Oh, I should search to see if there are any of those. That's a good idea.
That'd be different.
All right. Well, Val, I hope you catch him on the flip side. Andy, I hope you catch him on the video. Anyway, all right. With that, let's tie this all up in a bow. Let's go from 3 up to remind everybody the importance of these 3 amendments. So number 3 was talking about the Board of Trustees going down from 16 to 13. Impact on that, Gary, would be what?
Savings across the board as far as operational travel and support. All of this is a part of what we made a commitment to last year when the dues increase failed. We came back and said, all right, you want us to cut? We're going to find some places where we can try to get some efficiencies, some cost savings. This was one of them that the committee that was established came up with to, I guess, reflect the current situation with our membership numbers. And so that's one thing that's going to save some money to the organization. The same with the second amendment, the tier amendment, is to, one, it didn't do what it was originally established for over 2 decades ago. But second, it also is going to give us some cost savings with reducing the amount of time and effort and paperwork that goes into 3 tiers instead of just 2.
All right, let's bring Val back on because she popped in here from the games real quickly as we're sort of wrapping up. Val, your timing was great because A, I just got done with bad dad jokes, and B, I'm asking the guys to kind of wrap back up the 3 amendments of question and what they're about. So that's where Gary was. I'm sorry, Andy.
I'm trying to get out of the way of the speakers. Here at Special Games, they introduce every kid by name. So all 1,200 kiddos are being introduced right now as they go around a parade on the track. You can see a little bit behind me. But I wanted to say thank you guys for being on the show. And I'm sorry, you said I missed the bad dad jokes?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. And Andy told me, get on there so you can get bad dad jokes.
Well, Good thing is you know how to find the replay.
I do. So thank you all. Was there anything that I needed to say, or I'll just get off the microphone so that these amazing people can wrap up?
Well, I would just point out one thing. Right behind you is the reason why Kiwanis exists. Is to
Absolutely.
inspire children better.
Yeah, I'm going to go off mic and actually show you a little bit about what's going on. It's really loud. So hold on.
Cool. All right. So, and Gary, I'm so glad you pointed that, or that Val pointed out, and we're riding the coattail. So if anybody has any doubts, for those who may have missed last week's show, number one, I encourage you to go check it out on Facebook or YouTube or Roku about what the Kiwanis Special Games are. They sound like they would be Special Olympic Games, but they're not Special Olympics. There is a big difference. This is a Kiwanis function. However, it is a Kiwanis gathering and event that can be done anywhere around the world. So I was pressured, Gary, last week to make sure we get one of these open up in the Virginia Beach area. So just I'll be dialing your number for a lot of help for that one. But yeah, guys, in pictures, this right here is what KI is all about.
Yeah, it speaks for itself, right?
And the fact that all 1,200 of participants got to hear their name called is tremendous.
Yeah, you just made 1,200 memories there that are never going to go away, and that
Is that not fabulous?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That for sure is great. All right, we're gonna wrap up here a little bit. So again, we'll come back around to was the do's and the importance of why we have to look at this. I think you guys broke it down pretty well. We've talked about that. Get out to Denver. Get out to KI. Make sure your delegates know from your club the way to vote on behalf of your club, not the way you feel as a delegate. I got to stress that. You're representing your club, and make sure that you are sharing the voice of your club on all of these things, and make sure we protect the future of Kiwanis International. Gentlemen, want to thank you again for joining us. Ben, thank you again. Please go change your shirt next time. This in between 2 weeks and wearing the same shirt because you're stuck there. You know, we have standards. Very low, obviously, because you can tell by my bad dad jokes.
That's dedication.
That is dedication. That is true, Ben. Gary, always a pleasure, my friend, to see you and to chat with you. I look forward to seeing you in person again real soon. Say hi to beautiful wife for me as well. Ben, again, Gary, thank you so much for Kiwanis Connects.
You can say hi to her. She's watching this.
Oh, she is? Hi, Jamie. Good to see you, Jamie. She's been like a silent assassin back there this whole time, apparently.
Yeah, she's my favorite of the Grams, too. So I'm sure Gary gets that frequently.
Well,
I get it a whole lot, believe me.
All right. Well, listen, Gary, I look forward to seeing you soon in the Capital District. Ben, I look forward at some point, maybe in Pittsburgh, KI next year.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you there. All right. Everybody, thank you for watching. Very important show. Please share this feed off of Facebook, YouTube. Go watch it on Roku. Invite your friends and family to check it out. This is probably one of the most important Kiwanis Connect shows we've done. Not that everyone isn't important, but when it comes to securing the future of KI and all that is done, the SLP programs, the community support, everything, this show has got to be number one ranked on must watch forever and ever and ever. Again, thank you. Oh, wait, did she just pop in there? I just saw her pop up in there. Jamie, where are you, Jamie? I got to see it there.
She's talking to me, Aaron. That's not for you. That's for me.
Oh, she's on the screen. There she is. Well, when you say on the screen, I'm looking for her face, not just a hi, Jamie. Love you. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. I saw Herman in there. Everybody else, thank you for watching. Have a great week. As always, be kind to everybody. Why? We're all we have. We'll see you next time right here on Kiwanis Connects. Thank you for watching.